you for joining us for another episode of Wellness Wednesday. I am very excited to introduce our special guest, Marie Jarvis. She is a sister in the church in Glasgow, Scotland. Hello, Marie.
Hi.
She's also a nutritionist at Marie Jarvis Nutrition. She works one-to-one with clients. She also works with corporations and does workshops in the community as well. She's very passionate about helping clients return to full health by way of their diet. And today she's going to talk to us about the importance of gut health, particularly during the times that we're living in a pandemic, that this is such an important piece to our wellness. So I'm going to hand it over to Marie, and then I might be interrupting her during her presentation with questions that, with someone that doesn't know very much about gut health might have. So with that, I'll hand it over to Marie.
So just going to set up this presentation. 1 second.
Ooh, I love avocados.
Yeah, me too.
Are they good for your gut health?
They are actually. There's a lot of good fats in them, and we need good fats to keep our gut health in good condition. So here we are. Can you see that, Cara?
I can, yeah, looks good. Making me hungry.
Right, so hello everyone, and thank you, Cara, for having me today. So my title today is Boost Your Gut Health. And so I want to look at why and how we need to boost our gut health during a pandemic, as Cara's already explained, because it's a really, really important part of our immune system. So I'm going to share a little bit about that as we go through. So Cara's already told you a little bit about myself. So you don't need to know any more about me. So I'm just going to get into this. So first of all, I just want to do a quick introduction to the digestive system, because, unless you've done, biology at school, you probably don't know a lot about the digestive system. But the digestive system does start in the mouth. So it starts up here, and oops, sorry, I'm going to click something. So it starts up here in the mouth and down the esophagus into the stomach. Then we have all this wiggly pipe here, which is the small intestines, and then on the outside there, we have the large intestines. So our digestion breaks down our food so that we can get the nutrients we require in order for our body to function properly. Digestion starts before we even start eating. So it starts with the smell of food, those hunger pangs, that smell of food. That is your digestion system. It's beginning to wake up. It's beginning to start talk to the brain, send little signals to the brain. I'm hungry, I want something to eat. And then the next part of the digestive system is actually our chewing. And that's a really important part. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Then, as things move down, our stomach mixes together with our stomach fluids, stomach acid and enzymes, and it starts to break up our food. Once it's broken down enough, it will start sending food into the small intestine. So it's a little bit like pulses. So it like pulses the food through bit by bit and into the small intestines, where again it's further broken down and it begins to absorb the nutrients into our bloodstream through the gut walls. And that takes a few hours to do that. And then it goes into the colon, which are the large intestines, and the gut microbiome further breaks down the food and produces beneficial vitamins like vitamin B's and vitamin K, which the body also absorbs and can, and really helps us with our health, our overall health. So we need a number of different nutrients for our bodies to function properly. So once that's been done, then basically the large intestines is about eliminating what's been left over. Okay.
I think I remember learning some of this in school, but this has been a helpful review. It's definitely been a while.
Yeah, I love doing this because, you know, people know it, they just don't think about it. And once we connect with our digestive system, we can really understand things a lot more about even our food, the foods that we eat. So it's well worth knowing. It's well worth being reviewed on.
Yeah, I agree.
So what is a healthy gut? So a healthy gut is, but there's really no real definition of what a healthy gut is, because that really depends on the individual. But in general, I would consider a healthy gut to be free from persistent digestive symptoms such as bloating, abdominal pain, or disrupted bowel habits. Now, we all, from time to time, we all get a little bit of digestive issues, and that is absolutely normal. But it's when these symptoms are persistent, that's when we need to think about going to see our doctor.
Okay.
So also elimination of regular formed but easily passable stools. So that, you know, if you haven't got easily passable stools and you're constipated a lot, then that really needs further investigation by a doctor, because there's a number of reasons those things can happen. It should allow complete digestion, absorption of nutrients. So the average time for the entire process, depending on the individual, so it's not the same for everyone, but it should be around about 24 hours from digestion through absorption to elimination. So if you're out with any of those, you definitely need to chat to your doctor, find out if there's something going on. So why do we actually need a healthy gut? So research shows, and this is why it's really important that during the time of COVID-19 that we have a healthy gut, is 80% of our immune system is in the gut. So that's actually a massive proportion of our immune system. So if your gut isn't working properly, then naturally your immune system ain't going to work properly. So we need to, you know, really connect that a lot of what's going on in our gut can also affect our immune system, you know, how we react to certain things. We maybe overreact to certain foods. We may not react enough to certain foods. And this can cause us all sorts of problems and issues. So really, to strengthen this gut, and you may not even have any gut symptoms, but if your immune system is run down, you also need to be looking at what's wrong in the gut. Okay, it could be an imbalance of microorganisms. So our gut is filled with bacteria, which if it's imbalanced can lead to long-term health problems such as obesity, diabetes type 2, chronic health issues such as thyroid issues, or other autoimmune diseases, heart, you know, heart problems, heart issues, cardiovascular issues. So an imbalanced microbiome or bacteria in the gut may lead to long-term health problems. The more varied our microorganisms in our gut, the better our state of health is. So research is now showing with gut bacteria that you need lots of different varieties and lots of them. And if you have a makeup in your gut bacteria like that, you'll probably find you have better health than most people.
Can I ask a question for a second?
Yeah.
So is this common knowledge? If you just were to go to your, you know, regular doctor and you're having some issues with your thyroid, or you're having some issues with, I don't know, with obesity or diabetes, are they likely to ask you how your diet is? Or are they likely to point you in the direction of addressing your gut?
Certainly not in the UK, they wouldn't do that. You know, that doctors are designed to kind of look at symptoms and provide a diagnosis and possibly a pill or a treatment of some sort, or at least refer them on to a specialist who can then do that. Sure. But so generally, doctors are not They've not been trained to understand. And it's a lot of new research as well. It's only been going on for the last 15 years or so. And a lot of it's new research that just hasn't filtered into the standard healthcare systems. But in America, you could speak to a functional medicine doctor.
Okay.
A functional medicine doctor would absolutely give you the links between diet and your health condition.
I think this is so important, especially as you say, you know, it's a way that we can take control of our own health and our own wellness, maybe outside of traditional methods or in conjunction with, right? In conjunction with traditional treatments, there's also a lot more we can do to boost our immune system. So that's great information. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Cara. Thank you. So where were we? So a healthy gut provides information to the brain to say when we are full. An impaired gut function can stop this communication happening. So it actually can lead to weight gain. So, you know, and when we are overweight, and we know this from all the COVID information that we're getting, is that people who are overweight are more likely to have more severe symptoms or die from COVID-19 if they are overweight or obese. So, you know, if your gut isn't functioning properly, it may stop sending that signal to the brain and causing you to be overweight.
Wow. And a lot of people are finding themselves eating more unhealthy because of being home more. And so that, yeah, it just is a very bad cycle that we can break this way.
Yeah, it's really understanding just how the impact of overeating and eating the wrong types of food actually, you know, can lead us down a path that could be quite dangerous to, you know, our lives. So, yeah, so I just encourage people, and I've got some information later on to tell you how to look after yourself, and especially during these uncertain times when we really should take responsibility and, you know, look after our health even more than we've ever done before.
Wonderful. Thank you. Look forward to that.
So yeah, so a healthy gut helps us to digest our food well, supplies us with nutrients around the body. Essential nutrients will support our immune system. The other 20% of our immune system that isn't in the gut. So we need those nutrients. We need those good nutrients, and I'll explain later what those good nutrients are. And also 80% of the serotonin, which we know, what we call the happy hormone, is produced in the gut as well. So as I say when I teach in schools, as I say to the children, you need a healthy gut to be, you need lots of good gut bacteria in order to be healthy and happy. And I call that the 2 H's, healthy and happy. So if, you know, you don't look after your gut, you don't look after your gut bacteria, then you're likely not to be healthy and you're likely not to be happy. So there's 2 good reasons to look after your gut health. And of course, you know, our gut protects us from harmful pathogens that can lead to acute illness, such as viruses, colds, stomach upsets. Our stomach acid is our first line of defense against anything that comes into the stomach, and it will zap as many of those as possible. But if there's enough that gets through further down the chain, if we've got enough good bacteria in our gut, that will help protect the viruses getting to inside our body. Because if you think about the lining of your gut, it's skin. It's like the skin on the outside is and that's just a skin. So that you all the way through to your anus, that is not actually, you know, your internal body. It's just like an internal tube that goes all the way through.
Wow.
So, you know, if you think of it as a skin rather than as your internal body, you know, and if you were, you know, to cut your skin, you know, that would cause, you know, you to have bleeding and stuff like that. So the skin on the inside, it has a layer of mucus with lots of bacteria and lots of substances that should stop bacteria getting in, unless you're not feeding the gut properly.
Wow.
Okay, so this is just a little, so this is a stool test I did for a client at one point, and it just, I mean, it's got loads. You can see down here's bacteroidetes and Prevotella, and all these different types of bacteria. And the more of these, especially the ones at the top, the more of the top ones you've got, the better your digestive system's going to be. And then we should have a variety of the other things, and the bifidobacteria as well. We should have lots of those. But if you notice these little blue arrows, and in the top, at the top, you've got labels: IBS, IBD, metabolic syndrome, chronic fatigue, autoimmune, type 2, high blood pressure, mood disorders. And then you see all of these little, see all of these little arrows. These all indicate that if you have too high levels of certain things, they could lead to these health conditions that we can see at the top there. So your IBS, your IBD. So that's just to get an understanding that, like down here, you've got arrows that are going down. So if you've Rheumacoccus species, if you have not enough of them, that could lead to IBD. So that's inflammatory bowel disease. So so really the idea is to get as many bacteria as possible in the gut, as many species and as many in number of, and especially of certain ones like lactobacillus, bacteroidetes, bifidobacterium and lactobacillus are the two main ones that you want to have a lot of.
It's just incredible to me that this could have an impact on your mood. You could actually develop a mood disorder based on poor digestion or poor gut health.
Yeah,
I did not know that. That's incredible.
Yeah, so that is why we've got to look after it.
Yeah.
Wow. Key. So factors that contribute to poor gut health are antibiotics, having too many courses of antibiotics.
Speaking to us in the US.
Sorry?
Speaking to us in the US, we're very antibiotic happy over here.
Yeah, I mean, really, antibiotics should be taken with caution and rarely taken. And obviously, antibiotics are lifesavers. We can't get away from that. They can save your life. But if you are constantly having antibiotics, then there's something wrong with your immune system, and very highly likely there's something wrong with the gut. So that's what you should work on, to try and reduce the amount of antibiotics that you take. Obviously, gut infection of any type, if you have food poisoning, or you go abroad and you get a gut infection, then obviously that may have a chance of altering the bacteria in your gut and reducing your health overall. Lack of vegetables in the diet. So, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Excess alcohol, which as Christians, I would hope isn't a problem for us. But, if you've had an alcohol problem in the past, and you find that you have a poor immune system, or, poor health of some sort, it could be related to the excess alcohol from the past that has reduced the gut bacteria. Excessive sugar and refined carbohydrates is an absolute big one, and is a big problem for Western society as a whole. And I know here in Glasgow, it's a really big problem. And people, they tend to eat a very high carbohydrate diet with white pasta, with white rice, with white bread. But all of that stuff has been stripped of its fiber content and its nutrient content, and basically is very quickly changed into sugar in the diet, which the bad bacteria likes to feed on. So our bad bacteria loves sugar, and our good bacteria loves vegetables. It loves the fiber in vegetables. The constant snacking and late night snacking as well can be a problem, because our gut needs a rest in between meals. And yet now and again, you know, it's okay to have snacks and a healthy snack between meals. But if you're eating crisps and candy and chocolate, and you don't call them crisps there, you call them chips, don't you?
That's right.
Potato chips. Sorry, I'm talking to Americans now. Gotta remind my English.
Excuse me, because I'm trying to switch back.
So yeah, so these kind of, you know yourself, you know what the junk type food is. Those types of foods, that's what feeds you bad bacteria in the gut.
So is that why intermittent fasting is so popular? Is it good for gut health to go long periods without eating?
I think it really depends on I mean, there's a lot, that term is quite an umbrella term, Cara, when it comes to intermittent fasting. For me, intermittent fasting is eating between, I generally between 10 and 7 during the day, and then I fast until 10 o'clock the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way I do it. So some people go a couple of days where they don't eat for a couple of days, and these are all fine. And obviously the Bible talks about fasting, so we know that fasting somewhere along the line has to be good for us rather than bad for us. So God was onto something else in all of that, I believe. That's just my belief. You know, it's not in the Bible that fasting is good for your digestive system and it's good for your health, but I actually believe it's not only good for your spiritual well-being and your mind, it's also good for your gut health as well. So that's my personal take on that, but there's no research, so I'm not going to put a stamp on that one.
I like that. I like that interpretation. I think it's solid.
Yeah, so thank you.
Passes my test.
Some people might have problems with gluten, and you know that can be quite dangerous for some people. It causes inflammation in the gut. So there are tests that doctor can do. I can do private tests as well for that kind of thing. But yeah, if you suspect gluten is an issue, and you want to get tested, then go for it. But if you suspect it is an issue but you don't want to get tested, just remove it from the diet and try it again in about 3 or 4 weeks time. And if you have a reaction, it's probably because you can't tolerate gluten for one reason or another. And then lectins from grains and legumes can be a problem for some people. So if you find, you know, you eat lentils and you react, it could be the lectins in that is causing trouble with your gut. So just one to think about. So what can we do to ensure microbiome? So how can we make sure we've got lots of bacteria, good bacteria going on in our gut? So there's 5 steps to good digestion. No, there's 4. I've changed this slide and took one off. So there's 4 steps to good digestion.
You'll have to give us the 5th at some other time.
Well, the 5th was actually to do with I was doing this from a health shop. So I was taking them around the health shop to show them the products that were good for the digestive system. So it's not really appropriate for this.
It's not a mystery step now.
Yeah. So the first one is take time to eat. Eating from a balanced plate, fermented food, and prebiotic food. So taking time to eat. Okay. Oops. Sorry. So I talked earlier about chewing and the importance of chewing. We really need to chew our food well. We need to take the time to break down the food because we have enzymes in our mouth that help to break down that food. So if you don't chew those enzymes into that food, it won't break the food down properly. And you could end up with IBS-like symptoms as a result of actually not chewing your food properly. Because chewing the food also stimulates the stomach acid, which is really required in order to break down the food further. So if you're not chewed your food well, you're not getting the enzymes in your mouth into the food, and then when it goes down to the stomach, you don't have enough stomach acid to break it down, and that can lead to things like acid reflux, because the food will stay in the stomach for too long, and you will end up, having things like acid reflux as a result, or indigestion, because the food needs to be digested within 2 to 4 hours and then moved on, and it won't digest properly if you haven't got enough stomach acid.
Wow.
Stress is a major factor in developing gut function, which is why we need prayer, meditation, and the Bible. So before you even consider a meal, really think about relaxing first. You cannot digest food properly if you are stressed. You just cannot do it. The body and the stress mode, the fight or flight mode, the body shuts down the digestive system. So if you've got any sort of stress going on before you eat a meal, that stress is gonna manifest itself in poor digestion.
Maybe that's why we're meant to give thanks for our food.
See, God has all the answers. He knows what he's doing.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, so, and just take time to enjoy your food, which God wants us to do. He wants us to enjoy our food, enjoy the smell of it, enjoy the look of your food, eat it slowly and deliberately. Like if we're praising God for the meal, we've got to show him that we enjoy it. So that's my take on that anyway. So a balanced plate. So a balanced plate is one where you actually have a lot of vegetables on it. And if you are, what I suggest to people is eat half a plate full of vegetables and a quarter plate full of carbohydrates, which is root vegetables and whole grains. So your carrots, I don't know about where you are, but we have things called parsnips, which are these things, squashes. Those types of food are actually quite carbohydrate dense, and they're better being in your whole grain food. So when you're putting rice on your plate, make sure it's brown rice, or whole grain foods, whole grain pasta, and not the white stuff, because they don't have any nutrients in it. Well, these are full of nutrients, so they're just going to really help with the body. And we do need these kind of foods, because what we can't digest, they have undigestible fibers in your whole grain food and your root vegetables that your good bacteria just absolutely want to munch on. They love it. So when you think about feeding yourself, don't just think about feeding yourself, think about feeding your gut bacteria, because they're going to keep you healthy. So think about, what does my gut bacteria needs, rather than what do I fancy tonight? Just having that thought about, if I look after, it's like your dog, you wouldn't feed your dog candy all day long, would you? You want to look after your dog. You want to, take care of it, and your gut bacteria as well. It's like, it's your pet. Look after it, take care of it, feed it the right foods. Making sure you've got lots of different color with the vegetables, and around about a quarter plate full of protein. If you're trying to lose weight, I would suggest reducing your whole grains to half of that amount there and increasing the protein. And the reason I say that is because carbohydrates still turn into sugar, and it's sugar that makes you fat. So the protein is slow released, and it's building molecules for the muscles and for the nervous system and all of this kind of thing. So it's better to increase your proteins, and they'll make you feel fuller for longer. And if you're fuller for longer, you will not eat so much, like you won't snack so much. So and that in itself will help you to lose weight. You any questions on this, Cara?
My question is, what do I do when my dog wants a treat?
a treat is good, you know. I mean, we can have treats. So if you go for the 80-20 rule, so 80% of the time you're eating healthy foods, nutritious foods, so foods that will nourish your gut bacteria and nourish your body, and then 20% of the time you can enjoy a treat. It's fine. It's, you
Very
know,
manageable, actually.
I
think we get into trouble when we don't allow ourselves to have that.
Yeah.
And then we become very all or nothing, right? That's happened to me where I'm trying to eat healthy and then I make a mistake and I have a treat and then I'm like, oh, well, I might as well just eat the whole bag of crisps. And for
Yeah.
you, that's potato chips. You're
Chips,
welcome.
potato chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's being kind to yourself as well. You know, God designed our bodies with flexibility. He designed it so that we could enjoy a treat. We could enjoy a huge feast and festival like the Israelites had time and time again. He allowed that to be and allowed that to happen, and he's designed our bodies for that. But it's when we're more the other way, 80 unhealthy foods and 20 healthy foods, that that things actually go haywire. And someone once said, one salad won't make you healthy, and one piece of chocolate cake won't harm you. So
that's great. I appreciate that. It's very manageable and helpful.
Thank you. So I'll move on. So one of the great things that really help our gut bacteria is probiotic rich foods. And these are very marketable now. I know in the UK, even here in Glasgow, where the diet is rubbish, I can find kefir, I can find kombucha in the shops. I have to go to a health shop to get good quality sauerkraut. So be careful with your sauerkraut, because I know Americans, they do indulge in sauerkraut, which is great for you. But check your labels. If it's got sugar, if it's got vinegar, it's not going to be good for you. So you probably have to go to Whole Foods or somewhere like Whole Foods in order to get a good quality sauerkraut. But it's very easy to make. Check the internet. I make my own. You only need about an hour to chop up a cabbage, massage all the salt in, get all the juice out of it, and stick it in a jar. And 5 days later, you've got sauerkraut. It's so simple, and it's delicious, and just as a side on your dish. So I've really seen big improvement in my health since I've added a portion of sauerkraut to one meal a day. And that's just since the beginning of this year. And I've just seen a real big improvement in my health. So there's other things like yogurt. Go for natural yogurts. Go for organic. And I know in America that the Brits are fighting tooth and nail here not to have American food in our country because of the high levels of hormones that are pumped into beef cows, dairy cows, and things. So look for organic produce when it comes to dairy. But you should be able to get natural yogurts. Don't go for the ones with the added fruit in. You can, like the picture here, you can add your berries onto the top. Totally delicious. One of the things at the moment, it's windfall time here in Glasgow, so all the apples are falling from the tree. My neighbor and my mother-in-law have bought me bags of apples that are coming out my ears, so I'm gonna peel them, chop them up, stew them, and freeze them, and they make delicious applesauce to go with yogurt on the morning. Absolutely delicious. And that is all. I'll tell you about prebiotic foods in a minute, but apples are prebiotic foods. So other things you might think of is kombucha. Very easy to make yourself. Takes a bit of time to ferment, but we can now buy it in our shops here in Glasgow. Doing your own is absolutely better, as most things are. Miso is a great one. So buying good quality miso and making miso soups, or just using it. I even now in my British theme soups, I actually put some miso in. Nobody can taste it, but I know it's in there, and it's feeding their gut.
Sometimes you got to sneak it in there for the kids.
Yes, exactly. It's like mushrooms with my son. I chop them up really, 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 really small so he doesn't know they're in the meal. And prebiotic foods. So prebiotic foods, they feed probiotics. So, and they feed your gut bacteria. So it's what your gut bacteria chew on. Oh, sorry, I'm still on how do probiotic foods. Oh, sorry, I've skipped too quickly. Okay, so just quickly through this. Probiotic foods benefit us. They aid digestion. They improve bowel movements. Very graphic there, picture there. They produce beneficial effects on health. They prevent harmful bacteria from multiplying in the intestines, which we talked about earlier. So good for keeping the COVID bacteria, that virus, out of your body. They can be ingested as food, which makes it easier for us to take. They reach the intestines alive. So that's the benefit. So the prebiotic foods, as opposed to probiotic foods. Prebiotic foods are non-living, non-digestible by humans. So they're the fibers in carbohydrate foods. And our little bacteria come along and munch on them, feed themselves on them, and that causes them to thrive. It causes them to produce something called short-chain fatty acid, which help to keep the gut in good health. It produces vitamins, as I said earlier, which we absorb into the body. So they do a lot for us, but we've got to feed them the right foods in order for them to do it for us. So they're available in foods, readily available in foods like chicory root, Jerusalem artichokes, onions, leeks, and garlics, any of the onion family, plenty in there. Oats, raw oats. So I love to make granola with my oats or muesli. Banana, and just really in a lot. They're in asparagus, which is at the moment here is in season. And really a lot of the fruit and veg that we eat, but these particular ones that I've listed, the higher contents of prebiotic food. So we need to look at getting those things in our diet. And prebiotic foods aid digestion as well, and they may support the treatment of several chronic digestive disorders or inflammatory bowel disease. Okay, and moving on. Oh, that's me. That was my last slide. Yeah, so hopefully that gives you, that's really just in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it than just what we've said there, but in a nutshell, that's basically the gut and how we should look after it and why we need to look after it. So I hope you found that helpful.
Well, that was quite a nutshell. There was a lot of great information packed into that nut, and I really appreciate you presenting it in a way that we can really understand. What do you fancy for dinner tonight? Think about feeding your gut. Think about feeding your pet, who will keep you healthy and strong throughout COVID. I love that. And it's so empowering to know how that works, why that works, what that looks like, and even the when, right? We have why, what, how, and when. Chewing our food slowly, taking our time, giving thanks to God. It all works together, just like our wellness themes. They always work together, our mind, body, and our spirit. So I really want to thank Marie. We will have her information and her website available in the comments. So if anybody wants to check that out, please do. She's a wonderful woman, a wonderful nutritionist, and we look forward to, partnering again in the future. So thank you so much. Thank you all at home watching, and tune in for another Wellness Wednesday.